Legend says that Hercules swept Cerberus right off his feet and effortlessly set him down softly as a songbird. Atlas kept the world upon his back and every day wondered whether he could stand it any longer. And Tara Reade came out to say the man they tried to label the messiah of morality was really just another rapist. And I don't intend to hesitate when asked who was the stronger. Tara, like Assange, knew that carrying the truth would be the hardest labor. Tara knew that her assailant wasn't gonna make us any safer. And knew he's just the type of man to hand a decent foreign leader US printed walking papers. And knew he'd be relentless and aggressive in the war he'd wage upon her very character. That his attempts to weaken and degrade and embarrass her would be her only compensation. But I strongly doubt that anyone could ever have foreseen the stream of hate that came from quote-unquote progressives and the self-styled titans of survivor advocation. So if you really think there's something to be gained out of sharing your pain with the world, you are sorely mistaken. The Biden team just dragged their feet addressing Tara's allegations. Until they had a decent list of smears, then they aired them out on every station. And it turns out no one wants to hear the truth of who they praised as being worthy of such bloated liberal celebration. That no one wants to really know the person they've so valiantly defended, even when it meant they had to gloat and shit all over someone braver than they'd be if given the occasion. Now cue the faceless comment squad invasion. Cue those fuckers crawling out the woodwork to come analyze the way you wore your hair and what you wear. Like your appearance waives your rights, or that somehow you're the reason for your situation. Somehow they've decided you should bear responsibility for what such monstrous men insist on doing. Somehow they're deluded by the empty, hypocritical, and useless fucking platitudes that bastard keeps on spewing. And I think it's very telling that the best of their excuses when they try to come and justify our president's abuses is a hearty butt Trump. In which case I'll remind you that you never saw the news attempt to sell us Donald Trump like he was morally upstanding or a decent human. But when Joe says something bigoted or ogles someone's little kid, CNN says, isn't this refreshing? Biden's like a mix of JFK and FDR with all the finer parts.
Welcome back, everyone. Politics of Survival. I am here with some very special guests, and I was on their show a few months ago. The Banks sisters. Hello. How are you? Courtney and Keisha. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah. Last time I was with you all, well, the world was still as bleak, but we had fun. So I want to keep it like that.
Yeah.
But there are some serious stuff going on. But I see your sweatshirt. Camp Dada. I want to hear all about Camp Dada. Okay, so all right. So are you the Queen Dada or
oh man, Dada? No,
can I be part of the royal court or of the Dada? Yeah,
we're keeping it. It's all paupers here.
Yeah,
we got
there you have it.
Yeah.
Anyone can get this beautiful sweatshirt.
Indeed.
All right. So tell us about Camp Dada. What is it? What's going on?
So I mean, it's so funny they were talking. I was thinking about the last time that we talked, and like things have gotten a lot worse. I didn't think they were gonna get this bad. And so, I mean, there were some people who were trying to do an action a few months ago, and so we had like a healthcare live stream, and we were just kind of thinking, what can we do? And we were just kind of like, let's not go to DC again, and kind of a lot of people aren't going to their offices, and you end up just kind of pissing off people who don't actually have any power. So
and they're not even Yeah, they're not even hearing our chants and
staff interns and things like that.
So one of so Lucy, friend of Indie News Network, of course, she's amazing. She was like, maybe we should go to the Hamptons because that's a lot of people have their second or third homes, of course.
Yes.
So what we figured is, why don't we go and camp, which is great for bonding. And I mean, so many lefties, I think, especially after COVID has happened and everything, people just have been isolated. So I think there are so many people who had so much energy after Bernie, or there's so much anti-war sentiment, or there's just so many people who want to left a third option, third party option, that we were like, let's just get people together. And at least if we don't agree on one vision, we can sit down and discuss with each other in real life. We can actually like get to know each other and see people that we talk to on Twitter, which is something that the right has a lot. We don't.
Yeah, that's like such a huge part of it. The part of just like meeting the other people that you are always like kind of talking with, commiserating with. But so we're gonna focus it on 3 different things. So it'll be 3 days of educational, what are we calling it?
Educational and art demonstrations.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
So we'll focus on universal health care. We'll focus on the climate crisis, and then the last day will be focused on the general strike. So we're trying to just kind of bring some awareness to these rich people. We'll see how that goes.
And we're gonna have mirror actions as well offline, so people who can't go, because it's a small event. And we're hoping to expand this event around the country, and hopefully find other ways to do it. It's our first time, so but we want to be able to connect with people in mirrored actions, and also be able to live stream other pieces of it, maybe some of the fireside chats. And we've started doing these really cool like voice recordings where we're all sharing our stories as to why we need to be unionizing, or how are you trying to organize in your community, just all these things, so we can actually start having these conversations that will get us somewhere, because I think people are just having a lot of energy that's like, nothing's happening. So at the very least, if you want to feel like you're doing something, we have a few more spots left. And if you can't come to the actual event, we're finding plenty of ways for people to get involved online as well. And getting merch is one of the new ways. So we have awesome merch, hats and all kinds of stuff, and the donations. Some of the proceeds from that go to our camp. And then we've got a wish list that has camping gear. We're trying to bring people who live in the cities, who never get to camp. A lot of people of color who and a lot of people of color who've never been camping. That's something that we're organizing with Josana from Revolutionary Blackout Network, and she's in Brazil. She's great. And she was really reminding us, like, it is very interesting that the rich do kind of take over these green spaces and push us out. So if anything, poor people in their area, they're gonna be like, what the heck? We're looking for a lot of different kinds of people too. Like we're gonna do kind of like some like skill shares, like people are coming who know things about like Rifty technology and how not to be tracked when you're at a protest, and people who know things about cooking and gardening. And so we're still looking for someone who can help us out with videography, maybe, and then maybe one more camp chef, and I feel like then we'll be good.
Oh, nice. That sounds fantastic. I mean, and when is it?
Over Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend.
Over Labor Day. Okay, so you have some time to prep for it. And the name, what inspired the name?
Well, Dada means nothing, it means nothing, and you can say it in any language. And I like, Josana was presenting that it's also a representative of like a political art form too. So there was this whole like art movement that was built around it, behind it, and it kind of just encompassed what we were looking to do. It was
so are you going to be able to do a little bit of art out in the good.
On the wish list we have like we have some supplies on the wish list, but I'm sure once we start, we haven't quite gotten to our programming portion yet, so like we have a whole list of like all these things that we want to do. So once we get our kind of campers organized, then we're gonna set up and figure out what we need to make our ideas happen. And we have some really creative ideas because we are in the Hamptons and we don't want to get arrested.
And agree.
Also our parents are not driving to the
because
Hamptons to come get us.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you have to look at too is like, can you have a fire bowl and all that? I know all these permits and things you have to get.
Yeah, they put in a lot of
very strict
financial barriers in order to keep us poors out. So yes, things like fire bowls are on our wish list because, you know, it's just one extra barrier. So to keep you kind of out of their area. So they're tricky. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
They do. I mean, like people always say like, where were you from? Well, I'm from Monterey, California. And they're like, oh my God, Monterey, that's so beautiful. Well, I can't live there. I'm not a millionaire, like billionaire actually. So San Luis Obispo and a lot of the coast of California and the Central Coast, which is pristine, beautiful, and it's been kept that way and it's not very built up. It's just gorgeous. And the people who own it are now pretty much billionaires and stuff, and they've shoved up all the prices and the housing, and now everybody has to move out. And so it's sad. Now I live in another beautiful place. I'm in the Pacific Northwest and I love it, but you're right, it's just, and I feel like it's a matter of time. Like I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem where I live, and I don't want the rich people to know. Because they'll come ruin it.
They're trying to buy up homes everywhere.
I know, they ruin everything, and they gate off the beaches, and they just
like, how is that legal? A beach? It should not be a thing. Like the ocean is bigger than us. So you know.
Yeah, I know. It's just capitalism run amok, right? Right. Yeah. So things have gotten a lot bleaker since last time we talked. There was always these, you know, when we were talking, there were these glimmers of hope, right? With some of the progressive candidates. I think everyone kind of knows because I've been pretty vocal about how I feel. But how do you feel about like the progressives that are in now and the electoral and what's happening? I mean, what's your thought? What's the trajectory for what's happening?
The ones that are in now, just forget about it. I mean, I don't know if I've seen any redeeming qualities whatsoever since it really was. That is funny. I mean, it was a lot more hopeful before. I mean,
there were glimmers. There
were glimmers, but every time that there was an opportunity to fight for us, they didn't do it. And how many examples do you need for people to fail for them to then come back and make promises? I mean, it's really sad because like we've covered some of like AOC going to like the Amazon labor union.
That whole mess.
But she was giving a speech, you know, and it was like fell flat completely because I was just like, I don't believe any of this, you know. The only reason you came to this one is because you got caught. You got caught and basically called out online. And it just again and again from the eviction moratorium protest seemed very you know, we went through an eviction process and it's terrifying, and they should know how quickly landlords can move, and so for them to do the protest after, you know, they went to recess, who is that going to help? How, you know, now it was just so performative and saying like they don't vote as a block. It's voting for the
there you said it. And I mean, and I normally like Matthew McConaughey. I think he's cool, but now I don't, because he just spoke at the White House and just that whole thing. Everything is about Hollywood and performance, and it's just the word you use, performative politics. And so it really turned me off because I don't really see the purpose of having a celebrity. We're going to listen to a celebrity more. Like, no. They're legislators. Their job is to represent our interests. We shouldn't have to put a movie star up to talk about stuff and cry on camera on cue, which I'm sure he was sincere and he meant well, but I just and normally I like Matthew McConaughey. I really do.
But he thought that he could be like,
but what I don't like is the celebrity worship in our country. What I don't like is that the politicians that we've elected are not taking responsibility and representing their districts and their people. And, you know, I warned everyone, as you know, multiple times about Joe Biden and the staff around him. And here we are almost to a world conflict, right?
I mean, very close to it.
Well, and what's so sad about the celebrity that you're talking about, like even we watched a little bit of the Matthew McConaughey of it all, and it was kind of like, if you've seen the movie, is it The Thin Red Line? What's the one that he's in? A Time to Kill. He was felt like he was handling it Right?
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, this is real life. Like, we should have legislators in there who are getting pissed off like that.
Exactly. Who
and
are
being
crying,
able to do that.
Upset,
I know, I mean, maybe he wants to get into politics, but this is kind of where I'm at, where I do think we will need a celebrity to save us, because they have dumbed down the country so much that no one will listen to anybody else. And so it's like, I wish there were someone who was a celebrity who would put their money where their mouth is, at least. Like AOC had
Dr. Oz.
Oh my God.
That's the best we got, right? Dr. Oz. Didn't he win something, or he won the primary or something?
I think he might have won the primary. Yeah. And Herschel Walker. We had him as
Herschel Walker as well. That's true.
No, okay. I gotta fuss up about Herschel. Okay, because I lived in Athens, Georgia, and I went to high school there. And Herschel Walker is like the most amazing athlete there ever was. Like, if you saw him, like I saw him in person when he was young. This is before he went pro or whatever. In college with Buckbaloo. But also there was something really a story that a lot of people don't know. Herschel Walker is a sexual abuse survivor, and he talked about it in his book, and that was really so he kind of touched my heart in that way. I don't like us. Obviously I'm not a Republican, so I don't match his politics, but one thing that he faced in Athens, Georgia at that time was, and it was right before the 90s, was a lot of racism. There was race riots at my high school, for instance. And he and Buckbaloo was a white quarterback in UG at the time, and they were best friends, as well as really good at making Georgia Bulldogs win the football games, because people talked about it's almost like they connected in some way, and like they just knew how to and Herschel Walker was this amazing dude who could leap over a pile of men. Like, I've never seen anything athletically like it, right? But one time I was at a place, I was underage, I admit that. It was a bar, like, but we were all, but it's Georgia and it's at whatever. So I'm like 16, 17 with other classmates, but they walk in together and the bar went silent. And then there was even a newspaper article, because there was such a systemic racism that allowed the establishments to stop being low key, like racist, whereas like in Athens, there was like separate white bars and then black bar. I mean, it was really bizarre. There was no signs posted. It was just this, and I came from Wisconsin at the time in California. So I had really no clue of that type of racism that's so systemic in Georgia. That's just, it's like my brother described it as like, it's not smog there, it's liquid racism. And, so Herschel Walker just did a lot. He was outspoken in his own way back then. So anyway, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent.
What happened to his son?
Right.
Yeah. But his son is like,
his son just seems like a racist black kid. It's weird.
Missed whatever experience he had.
Yeah. And then well, you talk about that. Like, what are you seeing? Because I haven't only seen, is the name Julian, his son? I can't remember.
Christian.
Yeah. Okay. Christian. Well, Julian. I wonder if that's his bro. Okay. Anyway, go. So what is your take on that? Like, because I haven't seen many of his tweets, so I don't know. I just saw one of them. It was like
we just did a video. We did like a 3-part thing, because we started doing this thing like first impressions. So we did a leftist first impression, then we're like, okay, we got to do a right wing first impression. And what we knew of him at first was more just kind of like just based on his TikToks, I guess, but we weren't really like paying attention. We're just getting we don't watch TikTok, like so just here and there, and like you just knew that he was like a very outspoken like right wing person. But the more that you watch the things that he says, he's like, I feel like he's like gearing up to be Tucker Carlson. Like, I mean, he's very. I feel like he wants a job in TV.
Well, he's privileged, right? I mean, he's very, very privileged.
He's very privileged,
and he's a good-looking kid, and he's well-spoken. Like, I just feel like he's angling for, which is fine if that's what he wants to do. But I just feel like his rhetoric is intense. His
rhetoric is more racist than I thought it was going to be upon like just surface level knowing him, because we talk about, like, we do 3 parts. So another one is we watch him with an interview with Bob the drag queen, and then another one is an interview with Hassan Piker, who's, you know, like a socialist leftist.
Right.
And I just found something in that I found interesting is that, you know, we kind of like talk about how leftists should be having discussions, and I think that that's true. But, you know, it's interesting how Hassan platforming this kid and having him over at his house and everything, they got like takeout together and iced coffees, and it didn't really seem, for how racist the things that this kid said, the things he says, you should, like, there should have been more hostile, you know.
It should have been more pushback. There should have been more like deeper talk about why why he's getting to that point.
Right.
Yeah, and like he's not homophobic, is he as well? Or
no?
He's gay. Well, he's gay, but he is gay. Okay. Wants gay rights too much. Like, he's like, gay people have enough rights. So he's kind of like, he's like a pick me, is what people would say. Like, you know, he's just, he wants to be he's basically like token.
I mean, whatever the Republicans are going with, he will find a way, it seems like, to morph it into something that makes sense to him. So he'll make an argument that makes sense to him somehow, even though it might not benefit him as a Black person. He'll still make that argument. I mean, it's got a lot of Candace Owens vibes.
Right. It's always like very anecdotal, the things, because he's rich, no other Black people are having a hard time.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty much how he thinks. So that's kind of him in a nutshell. So it's interesting, like, how could he get raised like this? He seems just very self-centered, you know, and I don't know if that's what Herschel is like.
I don't know. Yeah, like
in Dallas, or I think he went to high school in like Dallas or something though. So, you know, maybe he just grew up with his mom, and
there are a lot of rich people, you know, the rich people in Dallas. There's
a lot of there's like old money there. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
What I mean, and as far as like, well, your shows are great, and you know, what I really like is what you just mentioned about the left not being able to talk, and you know, it's interesting because all these assumptions are made, like, okay, on the right, they're saying that AOC is influencing Joe Biden. And I think Indy and I were just having a conversation off camera about other people's perceptions of that. And it's true. I've heard that more than one time. And you see it all over Twitter, all over social media, where they say, oh, well, you know, the radical left. Yes. I don't consider them radical. They can't even get student loans, you know, debt, you know, canceled. They can't get the minimum wage raised. Like, I mean, show me a real progressive or a radical, right?
Somebody's definitely in charge of Joe Biden, but it's not AOC.
It's not AOC. Elizabeth Warren was the last one who tweeted about student loan debt. So I don't know. I mean,
I think Nancy Pelosi is actually the you know, I think Dianne Feinstein would be if she could come out of her crypt, but I think it's pretty much Nancy Pelosi. Did you see that cover with Dianne Feinstein? I thought it was an Onion cover, and it was actually real.
No,
they were talking about it. It's pretty grim. I had to see it, so now you all have to see it. But that's what someone tweeted. It's pretty grim. But I'm really thinking that Nancy Pelosi is calling a lot of the shots. I don't even think some of the other actors are even part of it anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, what about his like cabinet? I mean, I'm sure that I feel like they're probably, especially with the war. I mean,
Blinken's just all over Russia. I mean, this is his, you know, this is his wet dream. Like, this is his midlife crisis come to life. Like, he loves it. Yeah.
Well, and then like Lloyd Austin, that's his name. I mean, he was on the board of Raytheon. I mean, they're all just like, I'm sure, like, yes, having a great time. And I mean, it obviously does seem like, obviously there was some sort of plan. Like, I just can't believe that the whole Hunter Biden laptop, all of that stuff, like, it's just so when we're talking about being able to discuss things on the left, there have been so many examples of things that have happened in the past like year or two where we don't talk about it on the left because well, like things with COVID, you know, okay, well, if we talk about this, then maybe that's racist, or if you say this, then and people just coming to blows about things or labeling you immediately. Oh, okay, so then you're right. Oh, okay, so then you're racist. Oh, okay, and it's like, Jesus, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Like, can we have? And the more you shut down conversation, I feel like that's what leads to, I mean, that's what they want. They want us at odds. So you're—
Well, Matt Taibbi made that point like a month ago in an article about COVID. He said, we're not even allowed to have the discussion anymore. I mean, let's face it, people are getting myocardia. They're getting heart problems. There's a big issue with that. I don't even know why they're not talking about it, because the law is in place where no one can sue Pfizer for 75 years. Like we can't, like nobody can do anything about it. So why don't they just tell us, okay, yeah, we probably fucked up and you're going to have some heart problems the rest of your life. You know, just tell us so we know. Like
some healthcare, so
no,
they
really can't sue you. So
no way, you guys. They're not going to tell us that kind of stuff. They're going to tell us something about Kim Kardashian, and that's the news. It's like, what? I mean,
or like have Matthew McConaughey cry on cue. And again, you know, it's just like whenever I really like someone who I think has done good things for humanity besides their art, like Matthew McConaughey was one of those people, and now I'm just like, ugh. But I still have Susan Sarandon, and thank God we still have Susan.
Okay. But to be fair, Matthew is from that. He's from that town, so I feel like that's at least
true. That's true. There is the link.
He's probably being used as, you know, he's
being used by Biden's administration, obviously. I mean, they're using it because he has political ambitions, and so they'll give him that money that he needs and the clout that he needs to do what he wants. And I don't know, who knows what he'll do with it. I guess, is it a good idea for celebrities to become politicians? Does that work out? Like, how did that work out with Trump?
No, I mean, I don't think that people should be doing.
Jesse Ventura, maybe.
It's hard to say, because otherwise, what are the options we've gotten are always just dynasties, and it's like, oh well, this guy's dad was this, and this guy's dad, and it's like, I don't want that either. I mean, I do think that there could be some kind of area with Matthew McConaughey. I'm gonna give him, you guys, I'm gonna hold out hope, because I want to look into it.
There's a
I don't know
glimmer.
what his stances are, okay?
Yeah.
But I feel like he at least like doesn't care enough that he would. And he has enough capital that he maybe wouldn't be beholden to people. I don't know. That's something. But I mean, in terms of celebrities I think celebrities should be getting more involved in just pushing people to vote for certain. Like when Cardi B was the only one who asked Joe Biden about Medicare for all. Like, I just felt like that should have been a bigger thing, you know, or she could have kept pushing it and been like, oh, actually, Joe Biden took out this part of our interview where I asked him about Medicare for all, but obviously, you know, she's only going to go so far, you know,
right. And now, of course, he's privatizing Medicare. So, you know, there's that.
And now there's no conversation about it.
Right. And then, of course, you know, other politicians that have been really corrupt, all of that is kind of flying out of the radar because we're fighting against Russia, right?
Right.
So, of course. Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, where do you see us going from here? Right now?
Well, I think it's going to, I mean, honestly, I think it's going to get very bad. I try to be realistic and not super negative, but I just don't see, like, when we're talking about war and we've got issues with fertilizer, we've got issues with climate, I feel like they're not being honest about, you know, like, I don't know what the state of crops in America actually are when we've got heat waves that they don't actually report on. We've got wildfires that they never tell us. It's so crazy how much stuff is going on. Yeah. And then the water shortage. So I just think, prices of everything are going to climb. And I don't know how people are going to, you're on mute.
Oh, your mic's
on. I know. My mic's back on. My mic is very sensitive. And I made it mad with my hand gesture. I tend to like talk with my hands, and I always knock my mic out. So it's like, oh, okay. Now I'm all right. All right. I'm back online. But to your point though, the water shortage. Let's talk about that for a second, because I know that's something that's really important to the Southwest, in particular in the West, and the rolling blackouts that might be coming this summer. Do you know much about what's going on with the water? Because I know there was even so much dispute about it just less than a decade ago that Northern California wanted to split from Southern California.
Wow.
Because they were so frustrated.
They should have probably.
Yeah, they probably should have. I mean, it seems like the way that they sectioned off the water, even from the beginning, was completely wrong. And so now you guys are just like stuck in a bad situation.
Well, yeah, they based it on like high levels and didn't think about, evaporation or
right. Well, yeah. And then like the different, and they haven't really been, that's what you were talking about, being honest with people. I mean, they definitely haven't been honest with people about how the water is kind of like divvied out as it goes on down the river, I mean, right. There are people in Arizona that just should never have even been able to move there, I guess. Like, I just feel like the way that they're thinking about this is so backwards. And I don't think, and they're not, like we were talking the other day about how they've done a restriction on outdoor water use, but not on indoor water use. Mm-hmm. And I just, like, people's minds don't work like that. Like, you really have to, like me, like, for instance, I'm always late for stuff. So if you just lie to me and tell me to be there at a different time, then I'll probably be on time, So like, we need the same situation. Like, just lie to people and tell them that they need to start restricting all water now. And then by the time, they really have to, but they're not going to do it. And
they end like every news story with a positive spin, like, well, maybe we'll get a bit of rainfall or snowpack or something. And the reality is that Lake Mead gets to a dead pool point, which means that it can't pump out any more water at 897, which is like, I don't know if it's feet or what it is,
gallons,
but we're at like 1047 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the lady who was talking about it in this news story was just kind of like, but I don't think we'll get there too quickly. And it was like,
no, you guys are probably already there, because it's actually going so much faster than they were even predicting for it to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there. Northern California even is in a drought, as well as Southern Oregon. Now, I'm up in the Pacific Northwest where it's raining all the time. We've had more rain than we've had in 100 years. So it's kind of in the area that I'm in. Whoa. So like, literally we had one day of sun the other day. So yeah, it's been, I'm in the bizarre world of no sunshine. It doesn't feel like summer and I have to wear a coat. So I might as well be in Alaska or somewhere, or Northern Canada. But but I remember living in California just a couple of years ago, and water being rationed to a point there, and then people using wells. But also, Las Vegas is a big consumer of California water, which is bizarre, but it is. And they use it for their energy, and they require a great deal of energy. So I think getting them energy independent on alternative energy sources would be a really great start. Vegas. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think people aren't even thinking about that. They're like, oh yeah, your power also comes from the water, a lot of it. So huge problem.
They don't realize, yeah.
It's just alarming, because so many people are also like stealing from the aquifers under the ground, and like
really.
Yeah, like almond companies and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, because people just, if you have enough money, try to dig your own, just dig down in the ground, see what happens. Some people do that if you have enough money, but they're not but they don't get the right permission, so they're not accounting for how often that might be happening. And I don't know, people
wild times we live in. And then of course, coming back to our elected officials, or the so-called progressives, what really got me was the $40 billion that just sailed through. Apparently we have no money for any of the programs that you were talking about earlier. Nothing, like there's just nothing there. Sorry about it. But as Joe Biden said in his recent speech, Ukrainians need pocket money. So, okay. So $40 billion worth of weapons. Raytheon, I'm sure they had a party. They're happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the so-called progressives, there was not one of them that stood up, not even Ilhan Omar. I thought she would push back against the endless war, because she was always anti-endless wars, right? Like she kind of took that stand. Nothing. She voted for it and supports it, and says she supports Ukrainian people, even though they're neo-Nazis involved with that government and that we're funding them. I mean, what are your thoughts? Like, seeing those progressive just abandon people and not even have a discussion with their constituents?
Is it shocking? I don't know.
Another nail in the coffin, I guess. I mean, like, it's not that surprising, but God, it's just like, you do kind of hold out hope and go, maybe this one they're not going to do, but no.
Yeah, that one was a bit shocking. I mean, even did Bernie vote for it too? Yeah,
he did as well. He not only voted for it, he pushed for it. He said they need weapons. And so it was just like, okay, really? Yeah. Bye. For me, that was bye-bye. Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been that way for a while, but geez, just confirm it. Thank you. Just continue confirming it for me.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. It's kind of like an ex-boyfriend where you're like, mate, no, okay.
No.
Nope. Never mind.
You see him at a party and he looks really good and he sounds good. And then you're like, oh, okay. Nothing's
I can't do
changed. Nothing's changed.
That's how we have to
time to go to Camp Dada. So
yeah, definitely.
But
yeah, there you have it.
I think the thing that's so crazy is there's no way to even justify that vote, because what about the climate? Okay. If you believe in climate change, how do you justify that? What about when we're over here now talking about Democrats are running now basically on, if you want gun control, then you have to vote for Democrats.
Yes.
Okay, but you're going to send all of these weapons and lethal aid to another country. You know that we produce all of these weapons and then sell them back to ourselves, all of these different things. How is it?
Cognitive dissonance of it is really something, isn't it? Like, we're going to restrict weapons, but we're going to send rockets to the border of another, sovereign nation that has nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Did you see all the stuff that was getting sold on the black market? Like these big, rocket launchers and javelins, they call them, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right. Like, that's not fun to have in your backyard. Like, who's gonna, how is that? And so Europe is going to have a real problem here in a minute. And I think Interpol released, of course, a couple of days ago, that warning, a very stark warning. I think Aaron Monte raised that up too, about these weapons being sold on the black market, what you just mentioned. Yeah, that's, and so here we are talking about banning assault rifles, and you were giving these weapons that will kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
And ignoring the infrastructure and all the constituents here.
I mean, you have people you have people who cannot feed their kids right now. Yeah. There's so 45% of families or whatever, the parents had to skip meals recently because they can't feed their kids. And then, they took away the child tax credit, which they were raving about how they cut childhood poverty in half. How do you cut childhood poverty early? And then be like, but for a little bit, you guys should see what it's like, and then we're gonna take it away. It's so
for a month, you're gonna feel okay but the next month, no, not so much.
No,
well, just like the the COVID relief just went away, and then all the relief is now going to Ukraine, apparently. So, and just a couple of years ago, they called it the most corrupt country in the world, and they warned not to give it. So it's just, it's fascinating.
Yeah, the news has changed.
Not only just that, but the way that they've treated media and people talking about it, and anyone who has a difference of opinion or doesn't go along with the narrative,
censoring.
Yes, and how quickly they labeled people and kicked people off that that they were on the list to get kicked off of YouTube or whatever it was, for a long time, and they were just looking for an excuse.
Yeah,
right. That's scary. I mean, that's scary.
Is. Yeah, I mean, I'm on a couple of those lists, as you know. So as far as you all, are you getting any deplatforming, demonetizing, censoring, or have you been able to get your podcast through and whatnot?
I mean, I definitely felt like we were shadow banned quite a bit before, because we just got monetized, and we there's a lot of silly things that happen with subscribers and unsubscribing, a lot of weird numbers with that. And so now we just got monetized.
Yeah.
And we're seeing what is limited monetization or what doesn't get monetized. So that's very interesting to start learning.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. I thought that if you're monetized, you're just monetized. I'm not monetized, so I don't know, but really it's not that simple. It's like, so if you talk about Ukraine, it's like
that video.
Oh yeah. There's all kinds of little buzzwords in there that it's just such a catch.
Vladimir Putin.
Don't say Hunter's laptop. That one got
Hunter's laptop. COVID.
Nope.
We'll just use all the buzzwords right now because I'm not monetized, so no one cares. Literally, no one cares.
Get them all out.
Because we have to think so hard.
COVID, vaccine, Pfizer, just get them all out.
Yes, we'll spit it all out. That's right. Oh, that's so funny. So I want to take a minute for the audience to know where to find you. Where can they find you as far as your podcast, and when? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. No, you go ahead.
Okay. Well, so we do have a podcast that we do sporadically, but mainly we do our live streams right now on Mondays, every Monday. on our YouTube channel, which is Banks Sisters. And we also put out like lots of just different videos that you can also find on Banks Sisters. And then mainly we're on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
And I love your merch. So I mean, I would show your shirt again so you can see a little bit.
Sure.
Camera down a little. There you go. That is a very cool shirt. Everybody buy the merch. Look at that, like down below, you can probably see some links. So Indy, I wanted to bring you in for a second. Do we have some comments or questions for the Banks Sisters?
Hey.
Oh, I forgot about that. The MMA, yeah.
Oh.
That is really funny. I mean, that's a keeper.
How unfortunate. I mean, look, AOC must have taken some acting classes or something. Like that was a deep fake. Like, how did she get? I just think of like when I saw her, you know, speaking years ago, and like I remember my friends who were organizers were like talking about her, and they're like, oh my God, this girl's gonna be so great. And then to now, this is I don't get it.
She was absorbed by the beast, kind of, you know what I mean? Like absorbed into the empire, you know, Death Star, if you will.
Or was it always planned to be that way, and she was an actress the whole time?
She always Darth Vader's daughter, or Nancy Pelosi's. Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
Well, Nancy Pelosi's daughter will be into power soon enough, I'm sure.
Oh, I know. She's a documentary filmmaker, correct? Christine. Oh, Christine. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So Christine.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, what reality are you in?
Yeah. So do you think they're just reading scripts from the Hunger Games? Did you guys ever watch the Hunger Games?
Yeah.
Did you all ever watch that? Yeah. I feel like we're in Handmaid's Tale morphed with Hunger Games.
I mean, we're in now they're toying with us just for their own pleasure. Like there's no way that all of these people have this many degrees and elite and have all this experience and then they can't make anything work right. All of us are suffering. They're doing that on purpose. Like,
do you know, I have to say the last two guests that I had on talked about that the ruling class actually have a plan, and the plan does not include us. And it's depopulation, and both said it in different ways. And both were pretty esteemed and smart people. And I'm thinking, because I'm hearing a common thread when I talk to people about what is their end game? Like, why are all these, you know, it's not just a midlife crisis to have a penis looking rocket go into space and pay millions of dollars for that. Like, there's more to that. Like, what does that mean? It means they want to leave. They have plans. They're leaving if the earth gets really trashed, right?
Or are they trying,
we're not going.
Are they trying to distract us to look up when they're going to go underground? I mean, they all have bunkers. They all have bunkers, decked out bunkers.
Yeah, well, in the movie 2012, they got onto an ark, so it was water-based. And then in Utopia, that show, it was also about depopulation. I just always think you know, we were talking about this Hollywood connection, like they're always testing our limits, you know what I mean, to see like what the population can handle and like what we would be okay with, and like you know, it's like certain people you know, I feel like such a weird
the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
I should have been in the Ministry of Truth. Dang it, I didn't get an invite though.
Right, Camp Dada has to represent at the Ministry of Truth. Come on,
representation.
Right.
I mean, our brother has a theory. He's like, he thinks that COVID was about depopulation, and they didn't do what they were expecting to do. So he's always like, they didn't get enough of us yet. So
here comes the monkeypox, everybody. All right, so I wasn't live before, but I am now, so everybody can actually hear me talking to you. Hi, everyone. So yeah, we are going to read some chats. We also had Tepid, who was saying that, oh my goodness, I'm finally glad to catch a live stream. We've of course got our friends Gira Brown and Reef is here in the chat as well. I actually did pin the Give Butter link to both of the YouTube chats on the Indie News Network channel that we're live, as well as on Tara's. We are also live on Rockfin. I did want to mention that if anybody does want to leave a tip for Rockfin, and Banks Sisters also, thanks to Tara, are also on Rockfin. So if anybody wants to take care of our friends at Banks Sisters, Tara, go to Rockfin. We love Rockfin. It's an ad-free platform. So you can watch all these videos without having those YouTube pop-up ads if you're not a premium YouTube subscriber. So that's one big benefit to Rockfin. But
and they don't censor.
And they don't censor on top of it. And they monetize everybody from day one that has a channel. So INN, Indie News Network, actually got a Rockfin channel just today. So everybody can go to rockfin.com/INN and you can subscribe and follow the channel for free. And we'll be doing a whole bunch of live streams there as well. Tara will be co-streaming there when she goes live as well. So exciting stuff happening there. And again, we're really excited about the Labor Day event. Don't know if they're going to be able to do anything that's kid-friendly also at the Hamptons. We've talked about doing something like that. I'd love to bring the family out and really and introduce everybody to all the wonderful people that are out protesting and doing activists and trying to make some noise. But we don't want to get anybody's families in trouble and kids, and got to figure out a way to do some disrupting and do it creatively and in a fun way and in a way that might get some attention.
Like if you were on this coast, I'd bring ponies and then we could have pony rides for the kids and maybe the grown-ups too. But
okay, wow, we'll keep that in mind.
All right. I have a really, there's where my horse is, there's a really cute pony named Dazzle. So he looks like a unicorn. We can dress him up and he would get, you can lure the rich people in, like they're going to get to look at a little unicorn and then like hit them with the, hey, and we want.
I like this.
We need some things.
We need some things. You can have a pony ride for your child, but you gotta forgive all the student loan debt.
Yeah.
Fair.
Maybe we'll do their taxes for them when they come to visit. We'll take the tax money.
They don't pay taxes.
That's because we don't.
You're dealing in the Hamptons. You're dealing with people that just send it to the accountant and they never know and they don't pay, and that's the.
See you later.
Have
you seen this new show called the G Word, and it's with the Adam Conover guy. He used to do Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was a really good show on like Funny or Die first or something like that, and then evolved and kind of HBO and things like that. But this new show he has is produced by Obama.
Oh, okay.
On Netflix. Yeah.
And
are there drones in it?
It's so weird. It's supposed to be like the G Word's supposed to be like the government, and then he's supposed to be like telling you the truth behind things, the people behind the government. But when it opens, Obama is sitting in a White House Oval Office replica, I don't know, and doing his own taxes and like complaining about like forms and how difficult it is. And I was like, you were president, why are you doing this? Like,
you could have fixed this.
You could, like, I just hate when he makes jokes like he had no power. I'm like,
I know. And then Biden does the same thing, doesn't he? He always says like he can't do anything. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't know though, to be fair. Like he's like
I don't know where he thinks
mind,
he is. He's living
I mean it's but they like, here we are, all these things just happen, like the mass shootings, we're facing possibly a global conflict, and he was romping around the Delaware beach. And people are suffering. Like, what the hell? Like, it's just, there's no leadership there at all.
I mean, could you? I was gonna say, like,
I don't know how much 76-year-olds romp, but whatever.
Well, they can if they're in good health and don't have to run the stress of running a country. Go ahead.
Well, he wanted that stress, so.
Well, he should go be romping and not running a country.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like it's crazy to me that people who do organizing work, people who do work for free, all this stuff, those people never sleep. They never take time off. They don't get in. Like, look, Indy helps all of us with all of our channels and stuff. I don't know how he does it. I mean, he has children. And then you've got people like this Trump, Biden, any of them. How do you have time to be golfing and stuff? Things are falling apart. So
they delegate everything to everyone else.
Well, but I know
that's how that works.
That he couldn't even have enough balls to be like, you know what, Congress, you're not gonna go on break right now. Sorry, you're not gonna get your Memorial Day vacation. Like, just do something. Like, try anything.
Like let's figure out the baby formula and then work from there. And that didn't happen. So and I mean, I in the place that I live in, the Pacific Northwest, they talk about the empty shelves like Republicans talking point, like they're making it up. No, they're not. Like I've gone to a couple, there are things, they're having shortages of, I have to go to 3 stores sometimes for certain things because you can't find it at one. I've been talking to someone else who lives in another state who has the same issue. So this is not, we're watching the collapse right now.
Yeah. What's crazy is where we live is in such a bubble because we're kind of outside of DC, like an hour outside of DC. So enough, like we've lived here for a long time, but slowly, like, the money has trickled down and people want more land and there's all these people with money all around us. And, they'll commute to DC or whatever it is, but this area never really felt COVID. People didn't lose their jobs. Businesses didn't shut down because the government is here. And so, it's the nucleus of everything. And so when these politicians are saying, oh, they don't see it, they might literally not see it because they don't go back to their home states, and visit and see what's actually going on there. They have no requirement to like go check in or know any of that stuff. And then the media is here too, or New York or LA, and they don't experience, they're not experiencing those things either, or you have enough money that you don't see it. And it's just crazy to me that they can live in this reality and they never have to go and face go out and see what's going on for themselves. Like you're just allowed to say, oh,
it's not like they don't. I'm like, isn't that what your staff is for? Like, what shouldn't your staff be like informing you of what's going on in your own state? Like,
somebody on the ground there.
Something.
Well, what I really love about the both of you is that you're organizers and you are action oriented. So, and that's part of your Camp Dada. That's part of what you're trying to do. And also, you were talking about the general strike. A lot of people that I've talked to kind of have given up on that whole general strike thing, but then you're seeing some labor movements have some success, some pushback, but Starbucks, Amazon's kind of, that's Jeff Bezos. That's a tough one. But like where is general strike and people's moods around it? Like, where are we with that right now?
I think people want it.
I think definitely the Starbucks, Amazon, Big Lots, all of that, Trader Joe's is trying. I feel like a lot of younger people are just kind of now learning what unions are, and they're like, oh wait, why did we stop doing this union thing? Well, because Joe Biden told us to stop doing it, I guess. But I think if we can get and then he also uses unions to do his, to go out and canvas for him, but then he won't do a $15 minimum wage. So I don't get it. But I think the younger people are into it, and they probably just had no idea before, like, that there was even this opportunity. So I feel like the more people start learning about unions at the very least, and then Josana talks about like, we only need like 3 days of a strike. And we heard this confirmed. We were listening to this thing about truckers, and this trucker guy was like, if the truckers stop driving for 3 days, this whole country goes to shit. You get nothing. You get no food. You get nothing. Right. So I think that people are warming up to it anyways.
I think the appetite's there. I think that we've got to just get people to get out of these like fractional divisive kind of conversations that are happening that they're trying to get us to focus on. Because I do think that like we've seen working class people of all different kinds, from Writers Guild to truckers, all different kinds of people who are facing like, we need workers' rights. So I think if we had the support system, like some sort of infrastructure or some movement that felt like it was leading to that, I think people would get on board. But I think people that's a scary thing to like, there's got to be a forward motion for it.
Yeah.
An actual infrastructure for it.
It is unfortunate because it seemed like there was some momentum at some point, and like Court and I talked about this a lot. There was the lady who was running the flight attendants union, and her and this professor lady, they seemed like they had something going on, and they were going to teach these classes and like, teach us what to do and stuff, and then went totally dark. So that has caused,
like, they had a website and we tried to like message them to get more information and it went nowhere. It makes me think like, what happened to them?
What happened? Yeah, like it just
that's
like
weird.
Like a couple other people have talked about it too, but it's like that doesn't help the cause, you know. When all of a sudden this idea goes dark, then it's like, well, what the hell?
And it makes people think that it makes me wonder where it's like, oh, was this, you know, something that somebody put on? So then if it doesn't work out, people lose all faith and they're like, no point in trying. So we've also got to, I think, remember that as leftists and just as, you know, whatever you're, because the right never forgets this. If they lose, they're like, okay, well, that was one, you know, battle, but it's not the whole war. I mean, look at abortion rights, you know, like you just keep going and you can't like look at everything as a defeat. Like just like with, you know, force the vote, when people were like, well, if Medicare for all loses a floor vote, it's like, yeah, no shit, it's going to lose a floor vote. That's not the point. The point is they're talking about healthcare in the middle of a pandemic, you know, like to actually show and fight for these things. And so, yeah.
Well, you know what? There is a politician whom I really admire. They're just not here in the United States. And that's Claire Daly. And I was wondering, Indy, could you throw up that clip by Claire Daly? Because I wanted your take on this, but I wanted you to hear.
I can. So what I want you girls, what you ladies to do in Zoom is right click on me or click on the three dots and pin me big. And and I think you can now see my screen with the bird down in the corner. So you can now see it and you'll be able to hear it when I play this for you. And everybody else, I'm going to switch our screen here. So, whip. Hey, we can do that. Nice. Indy knows what he's doing. Okay, folks, we're going to hear this now. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, President. I wonder how many people here follow the media across.
I don't hear sound. Hold on. Oh, I know what it is. I don't
hear sound and there's no visual.
I know what it is. There's no visual?
No.
Hold on. You can't see that? I just went full screen.
No.
Okay. Virtual webcam. Should be seeing that. Is that the right one? Now you see yourselves, right?
We see ourselves. We see your icon.
And now you should see that screen with somebody, right? No. Oh, great.
Are aware of the urgency of the humanitarian catastrophe that is accelerating in Afghanistan.
Yes.
Where's the focus on the announcement by the World Food Programme this week that they have to roll back on their commitment? They actually have to stop feeding the hungry so that they can concentrate on the starving. Imagine, they know 18.7 million people need food, but they can only accommodate 10 million, condemning the rest to an agonising death. And why? Because they haven't got the money. Even as the world spends billions on arms, they can't muster 3.5 billion to save lives. During the war, the US spent $300 million a day for 20 years, but they can't spend $300 a day for a fortnight to save lives. Meanwhile, the borders of Europe are closed. But this is barbarism. So the next time we talk about European values, can we think about the bodies and the lives of these people of Afghanistan? Can we call now for a lifting of the sanctions, give them back their money and release money for aid to save lives, not kill them?
That's Claire Daly. And damn, I wish she lived here. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Great.
Yeah.
Definitely wish she lived here.
She's an international treasure. She truly is. But like, what is when you heard it broken down like that, how much the US spent on the war, and then now they're leaving more than 1 million to die. And a lot of them children. They do this. Not to mention what's happening in our own country. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they do it everywhere. And they will always make some sort of justification, you know, for a PR spin or whatever. But when you've got, over, the pandemic, how many, pigs and cattle and things did we kill because of capitalism? How many, how much food waste do we let go out when we don't let people, the unhoused people take it or give it to shelters or anything like that because if people don't want to get sued. I mean, the way that everything runs is madness. And I mean, even like talking about war, the pollution that can come from that, we don't care. We'll ship our trash somewhere. We don't care if it fills up your lungs. We don't care. We don't have to deal with it. So, I mean, it's not surprising. It's just like, I don't understand how people in these positions, like, really go. I mean, I don't know. I know she's in the Parliament, right? The British Parliament.
She's an Irish MP.
Oh, Irish. Okay,
so
yeah.
She was talking about the EU. Yeah, she was talking about.
I feel like they're more feisty than our American politicians are, and I wish like ours would be a bit more like that. I feel like ours are dumb and they like just kind of fill time and they don't really say anything.
They're performative.
They sound like they care like that.
No. No, I mean that's you don't hear that from Cori Bush or AOC or anyone else. Yeah,
the thing that struck me was I was shocked because I was thinking to myself like, oh my God, she's like thinking of them as like real people. Like I don't feel like a lot of, you know what I'm saying? Like Afghanistan is so far away and like, oh, okay, well, we got out of that war, whatever. But I mean, she seems to be really thinking of them as real people, which I think just nobody does.
And that's the American, that's where we're isolated, I think, where we're dehumanizing other people in other countries because we can't see them or talk to them every single day. We don't have that interaction viscerally. We're ignoring, all of that. Which is really sad.
It's also so sad because they use women and children as pawns all of the time. Here we were when we were leaving Afghanistan, they were saying, oh, we can't abandon women, we can't abandon women's rights, all of these things. And what
let them starve to death
and everything else.
Right.
No, remember all that propaganda they were doing when women were learning to drive there, and they were like, we've done it, women can drive, and it's like,
well, that was in Saudi Arabia, and but what the point of that was the focus was more on the cultural discussion, I think, or trying to get that discussion going as far as again, it's all about, with Democrats, with neoliberals, I would say, it's all about these, talking points about women's rights or violence against women, but there's nothing behind it. They don't mean it. They don't care. No. They don't really care.
No, you can point to such like just on the surface examples too. Like Nancy Pelosi will often say that she cares about children, just blanketly. She cares about kids, blah, blah, blah. Okay, when I lived in California, I don't remember her ever mentioning any of the wildfires. Now I don't remember her ever mentioning the droughts. Kids live there, their homes and schools and things are being destroyed. Kids. There are plenty of kids who became
San Francisco is her district. I mean, I remember what San Francisco was like when I was young. It was so beautiful. It was so fun. I mean, yes, it had its problems to an extent, but not, I mean, I don't recognize it. The amount of wealth disparity and people suffering, living on the streets, and mostly Black and brown people are the ones who are suffering the most with being unhoused and not having enough food. And I did when I was in the Central Coast, I did this food bank volunteer thing where I brought pet food and I was trying to help people keep on, hang on to their pets and whatever. And 70% of the clientele were elderly. And so people have this vision of homeless people being drug addicts. No, it's usually people that are seniors. It's a lot of seniors and it's a lot of families. You see a lot of children. And I don't think people really understand. Like, I think at this point, it's 72% of children are at poverty line or below in this country. And you were mentioning earlier, I think Keisha, was the statistic 45%? Of hunger, of people that were food insecure.
Well, that was just parents who were skipping meals in order to share with their children. But when we lived in Los Angeles, like in Korea, what was it, Koreatown? No, MacArthur Park area, there's a school. And I mean, now they've pushed everyone out of like Echo Park and MacArthur Park, where people had their tents and things like that in communities. But there were definitely, I mean, families that were living in these tents right next to the school that the kids went to. I mean, it was, and these people have jobs. A lot of these people have jobs. I mean, it's not for a lack of trying for anyone. I mean, and the fact, the way she broke it down with the amount of $330 million a day we were sending, and now we can't even muster. I mean, that was amazing how she broke that down. I didn't realize we're spending.
Yeah, that was really amazing. And back to Nancy Pelosi, in San Francisco area, the rents now is $8,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. 5,000 to 8,000 is the average. And they were normalizing pods. People working in the tech industry Did you see that?
Yeah,
it's like worse than a train. Like if you've ever taken, like I've traveled like, on train or whatever and gotten the sleeper car and it's like, you can do one night maybe and it's okay, but like not doing that again. That's how they're living. I mean, like, like it's just.
Well, we must have saw like a high end one. We recovered this like a week or two ago in LA. People are kind of renting a whole house together, but then they do an area where they kind of just have bunk rooms. So it's just like your little room area with a light and, you can put your laptop in there, but, close a little, it's just a little bunk. And they're trying to make all of this like, this is the way that life goes.
The ruling class will have a vast house that might be a couple miles big, right?
Right.
But we are going to live in sleeping pods and they're going to normalize the shit out of it.
Or van life. Like what were we listening to?
Van life. Oh, I know.
I was listening to something the other day and someone was like, wait a Tim Pool. Yeah. Like this van life thing, this might've been a trick. Like, it's definitely a trick.
Yeah. They're trying to make it seem quiche. Let's do that. I'll be quiche. I'll live in a van and travel and I'll wake up to mountains and a running stream. No, you don't. Like you're trying to protect your shit most of the time. Hopefully there's not a bear and like you have it like if you're out in the country, right? But if you're in the city, you're worried about your whole life being taken, right? Like think about it. If you're living in the city, I did it again. I knocked my mic.
Oh, there it goes. Oh no, now it's on mute. She's got a lot to say.
She knocked her mic out. Oh no, Tara, your mic got knocked out.
Okay.
There you go. Now you're back.
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, there you go.
I give up on the mic. It's too funny. Okay, look, this is a cool mic. I got it for Christmas, right? But I am so lame with it sometimes because I do talk so much with my
like up here, like one of those arm things, and then you can swing it in.
Yeah.
And then
you can have an arm thing. Right now I have it like it's not working that well. So I need twine. I have some hay twine for my horse. So maybe I'm going to use twine and like
something up.
I love it.
Bring it up. Anyway, back to you all. So, enough about my inept abilities with the mic.
Mics are hard.
Mics are hard.
It's hard.
All this stuff is hard.
I've very often muted myself and then been like, oh.
Legislating's hard.
Yeah, right. I wish it were.
No, it's not. They write everything for them.
They do. I know this. Yes. It's amazing. Yeah, they do. And they have interns to get them their coffee from Starbucks and whatnot, right?
Yes, and they can get driven around. Wow. I think they have it.
All right. Before we start wrapping up, I wanted to, because last time I was on your show, we did a review of some show and I even forget what it is. But do you all have like a famous go-to movie that you like to watch when you're feeling down or feeling blue that we can share with the audience? What can we share?
Yes. Mine is Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. No hesitation at all. I will watch it no matter what. It's amazing. It's about friendship. It's about female empowerment, but it's also about, I love drag queen. It's everything. It makes you feel empowered, but it's also about love.
It's about
many forms of love. And Stockard Channing is in like all three of my favorite movies. So she's in that. First Wives Club, another great one. Redemption, and Grease. So
wow.
Great. I was in Grease. I played Betty Rizzo.
You played Rizzo and you're like
Channing.
There are worse things I could do than go with a boy or two.
This is why we're
the neighborhood thinks I'm trashy and no good. There are worse things I could. Anyway,
I also played Rizzo.
Oh, we're clipping that. We are clipping that, Tara. We're gonna clip that.
That was great. I love it.
All right. Okay, so what's yours, Courtney?
Oh gosh,
Keisha. That one's Keisha. I know.
Right.
Whoops, yeah. Oh my gosh. I had such a
by the way.
Huh?
You flipped the names. Sorry.
Oh, my bad. Oh,
Indeed, right now.
No, I flipped them the other way. No, Keisha's in the right place now.
All right.
Okay, my bad.
Right.
Gosh, movie.
I can think of so.
You think
movie or television show or whatever. What's your escape?
Oh, This Is the End. That's a good one. I do like an apocalypse style movie. So yeah, This Is the End. It's funny and also what?
Express.
No, Pineapple Express. No, that's no good. No. Gosh, I don't know. I just like. I mean, this is just like if you just like need to like blow off some steam and like what I would just listen to some Stevie Wonder. That's my go-to for relaxation.
Yes, As is one of my favorite songs.
Me too. Yeah. Freaking love
it. Hands down. And lately I've been listening to Kate Bush's old Running Up the Hill, and Meg Myers did a new version of it, but I love that song, Running Up the Hill. But so one of my feel-good movies is The Big Lebowski. I just have you watched The Big Lebowski?
Yeah,
I feel like I've only seen like the TBS version, you know, where they like have a lot of.
You gotta watch the Judah Brides. I mean, it's so irreverent and it's so LA and it's so, I don't know. I loved it. I've watched it, I don't know, like a lot of times. I'm trying to think, and I love on the dramatic part, I love Wuthering Heights, the old one with Laurence Olivier. So I love the dramatic and the true love and all that, and yeah.
Hey, there was a question from Heidi Healer I wanted to put out there. What did you think about the police officer who was killed in the Buffalo shooting, who recently had been revealing that he had invented a saltwater fuel for cars? 2 federal agents were detained. Anybody heard about this? I didn't know about this.
No.
Wow.
I saw a tweet about this, but I didn't look into it any further. But I mean, conspiracy theory wise, that's a little wild. So the cop, so there was only one cop who got shot, right? It was the one who got shot. In Buffalo, yeah. Okay. And he had invented this way for us to power our cars.
In his off time?
Yeah.
Well, why wasn't he a scientist? Why was he a cop?
People have hobbies. I don't know.
Because it's a hobby to be a patent, and you have to pay all these fees to get patents and stuff like that. So it's like you do your job and then you're / inventor.
See, if we invested in the sciences and such, he would have been at home tinkering away.
Right. Well, or he might have been close, and that's why they took him out. So wow. I mean, a lot of people do have the theory that, you know, a lot of these young kids that are, you know, running around killing people are, you know, being somehow influenced by our government, perhaps, or, you know, I mean,
well, it's kind of like a mixture of both, where they're allowing society that would breed someone who would do a mass shooting to be there. Like, you know, they don't say that white supremacy is terrorism. There's a lot of things that they just kind of let slide and look at their gun laws and all that stuff. But then that they might be activating them almost, let's say, in order to keep people preoccupied.
What is the top #1 movie right now?
Top Gun. Is it Top Gun?
Top Gun's the top movie. And think about that, the name alone. And then on top of it, I saw some photos of how military officers are setting up tables in the lobbies of movie theaters to recruit.
Wow.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, and if I were an actor from that movie, I would be like, what are you doing? And in fact, I think it was a major actor, and I forget who it is, and I wish I could remember his name because he should get credit. He turned down the role because he felt like it was too pro-military. And, you know, it's like one long CIA, you know, advertisement. And I know on Crystal and Sagar's show, Sagar had said something like the title of it was he liked Top Gun or whatever. So I hope he did a deeper dive and didn't, but like I think he was promoting it. But it's a propaganda for intelligence.
No, I think he was promoting. I didn't watch it, but it was something like, oh, this is a rebuke of like people aren't, you know, I don't know, kind of like conservatism is winning in a way, but like there definitely was a vibe there of like everything
nationalism, like let's get in a plane and kill people. Right. It's like, how can you be anti-war, anti-establishment, and then be pro Top Gun, like in that whole franchise?
But it's the whole Hollywood merriment that we've been talking about. And honestly, if you want to make it in Hollywood, you have to get on board with what the agenda is. So if you were going to sign up to that movie, you would know for sure that it's going to be pro-military. You're going to go visit military bases, all of that. Like visiting a military base, I can understand that because sometimes people get put in these situations because of poverty. that's why they're there. But I think that, you know, to be in the movie that's promoting war and droning, and I mean that's what they're doing in the movie. But also the fact that Tom Cruise, people want that. Like, they just keep giving us repeats of things because they don't want people to be thinking about how bad things are. They want people reminded about what it was like in the 80s. Like, oh, things were good then. So it must be okay.
Yes. Tom Cruise is still alive. He's doing great. He looks hanging out on planes. Like, come on.
Yeah. There you go. That's interesting. That's a cool take because that's accurate. They are pumping the TV and the movie and the media with nostalgia stuff, even with songs, even with and I mean I have to admit, if I hear The Cure, I'm like, yes, you know, from the 90s. Like they've got me, like, I mean, but seriously, the it's so subtle, but yet it's insidious in our culture. You know, the message.
With music, it's beautiful when you personally choose to listen to music, but when it's like put into a commercial or, you know, or put into the back of this thing. But so many things have been brought back, like Roseanne, they tried to bring back. They've Saved by the Bell. You know, they've done remakes and reboots of like everything, and it's just because they're not going to make our conditions any better. So they want us like to kind of think.
I think there's gotta be some Hollywood connection. They're just, I mean,
that's the, you know, Rose McGowan talked about it a lot, and you know, she did say that we're in a cult, and she was in one, and she knows what they are, and she said we're in one. This is the political cults. And so now we're approaching the season, fall, and you know, the trolls are out on social media and poised and ready to go and tell you to vote blue no matter who, right? Whatever the issue is.
I wonder what kind of stunt they're gonna pull in September. I feel like they need to do something closer to the election, you know, closer to the midterms to see. And I'm wondering, we've already had a mass shooting. We've already had so many things go wrong that they could have.
We're gonna have a global conflict is what we're going to have. They're going to try to galvanize everyone and unify everyone around a global conflict. I think that's what's coming. And I'm fearful, and I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But I also said in 2020 that Joe Biden would try to start a war with Russia, and here we are. So I mean, and that was based on, you know, when I was a low-level staffer, but I heard the rhetoric then, and the Soviet Union was on its, had just collapsed, and it was coming out of it, and it was in dire shape. And we were kind of robbing the coffers at that time when I was in DC, but the sentiment was very clear that they did not want Russia to come back at all. And it has, and it's an economic force, and it's a cultural force, and they're trying to shut it down and can keep the West dominant. And I think that's what that's what all this Russophobia is. That's what all the false narratives are. That's what all the censorship of RT, of shutting down anyone who sounds even a bit pro-Russia, to shut them down and cancel them, is because we're being all kind of sheep herded into this, get ready for the global conflict, pick your side.
It makes sense, unfortunately.
So we need anti-war movement. So in Camp Dada, like, I hope you have a good anti-war present.
We definitely want to hear seriously what other things people have going on, like how we can protest and actually get through to people with because I mean it's just, we're in such dire straits. Like, you have scientists who are setting themselves on fire, and it doesn't even make the news. You know, it's like, how do we break through? And you know, and especially with somebody like Joe Biden, like, even if you didn't know anything about his history or past with Russia, I mean, just his like want for surveillance on people and taking over, you know, like he was behind the Patriot Act, you know, originally. And so it's just, I never trusted that it was going to get too great, but you can also see, like, it's not just about the war, it's all of these other places where they're trying to like censor us or take over control or look into our bank accounts. And it's just getting very like Big Brother very quickly.
It is. And you're of a younger age, and my daughter, you know, in her 20s, or, you know, and she's getting inured to it because this is all she's known, right? That PayPal registers certain amounts of money, and that people, you know, there was a time when people didn't know how much money you had in your bank account. Like, it wasn't known. It's really scary. Like the amount of surveillance, and you know, Edward Snowden did try to tell us. He warned us. I mean, but here we are. Like, how do you stop it? And I think, I think you're doing is, actions that you're taking, like with Camp Dada and teaching people about self-sufficiency and gardening and, general strike. I think these are important action items for people.
Yeah. I feel like our goal, one of our goals is to annoy rich people, but I think a larger goal is really to just, build community on the left. And I think, by doing the actions, and we'll record everything, and we'll try to, we're going to try to make it seem cool, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that more people will feel more comfortable to come over to the left, or to go to a protest, or to try, I'm saying, I feel like people are very fearful of anything after January 6th, of course. So I think there are a lot of different creative ways that we can do things. And I'm hoping that, by us just doing these actions, and we can at least be encouraging to people that, maybe we can't change them, but we can, do some mutual aid on our side, or,
and just making those networks, mutual aid doesn't have to be money. It can be, like, oh, I've got this car over here, especially as things get more and more just scarce, and we're going to need to rely on each other. So that's what's important.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's wonderful. I am so happy. And so I encourage the audience, please, everybody, check out the Banks Sisters podcast, check out Camp Dada, buy their merch, practice your mutual aid by supporting, and then also the Rockfin channel that just went up. And I'm so happy that you're up and running and going with that. And we need your voices. And, I look forward to us coming back, and we'll do another, a review of some other movie or whatever. I always love doing that with you guys. So so thanks for coming, and we'll see each other soon. And and I hope to hear more about Camp Dada and stuff. And I'll try to get a sweatshirt at least.
Cool.
I hope we can get one on the West Coast so we can see you soon.
Yeah, then we'll just come over there and say hi.
Yeah, let's have a West Coast version. Love it. Awesome. Yeah.
All right, Tara.
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is great.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to end with there was a Turkish photographer that did a beautiful film, and he kind of showed American imperialism and with visuals and sound. And I'm hoping, Indy, is it possible for you to bring it up, or is it too hard to bring up the visual?
I'm going to do what I can to try to bring this up right now, and let's see if I can go Tara. Big press. Now you'll be able to see my screen and not the ladies. Okay, I'm going to turn your mics off so nobody can hear you, but you'll be able to hear me. Hi, everybody. I'm taking over Tara's stream. Okay. They're getting the visual. You guys aren't, but they are. I don't know why you're not seeing it. Okay, hold on. Let me pause it, and you can come back, and then you can say.
All right, so everyone, I wanted you to check out this video by this Turkish photographer. It kind of says it all, and I wanted to say another thank you to the Banks Sister, and I'll see you next time on the Politics of Survival. So remember to like, subscribe, and follow. All right, thank you, Indy, for taking us out.
All right, let's go back to the big press, and let's replay this. And your mics are off, ladies. You can now talk, and nobody can hear you. I don't know why you can't see my screen.